I still remember the first time I met Emily. It was during my sophomore year at college in Chicago. She walked into the library with a stack of books in her hands, her hair falling over her face, and this warm smile that made the whole room feel lighter. I don't know if it was love at first sight, but something in me shifted. I felt like I had found someone I didn't even know I was looking for. Emily wasn't the kind of girl who tried to be the center of attention. She was quiet, thoughtful, and always had this calm energy around her. Maybe that's what pulled me in. I was always a little restless, always chasing after something. But when I was with her, it felt like the world slowed down. We started talking casually, sharing notes, grabbing coffee, and before I even realized it, I was falling for her. It wasn't long before we started dating. I remember the first time I held her hand, how my heart was racing like I was a teenager again. She laughed at me, calling me dramatic, but her laugh, God, her laugh was the kind that made you want to do anything just to hear it again. For the next 2 years, Emily became my entire world. We spent weekends exploring the city, late nights watching Netflix in her apartment, and countless mornings walking to class together. I introduced her to my family during Thanksgiving, and she blended right in like she was always supposed to be there. My mom loved her, my sister adored her, and my dad even gave me a nod of approval, which meant a lot coming from him. I trusted Emily completely. I had no reason not to. She told me she loved me every single day, and she made me believe it. We talked about our future, about graduating, finding jobs, maybe moving in together, and eventually marriage. I used to lie awake at night imagining what our life would look like 5 years from now, and always felt perfect. But looking back, I realized how blind I was. It started with small things. Emily became less responsive at times, taking longer to reply to my texts. She used to call me before bed, but then she started saying she was too tired. I brushed it off because everyone gets busy. She was working part-time at a cafe while handling classes, so I told myself she was just exhausted. But deep down, there was a part of me that felt uneasy. One night, I went over to her apartment unexpectedly. I had just finished a group project late and thought I'd surprise her with her favorite ice cream. When I knocked, she took a while to open the door. Her hair was messy, her shirt was buttoned wrong, and she looked startled. I asked if everything was okay, and she laughed nervously, saying she had just fallen asleep on the couch. I believed her, or maybe I wanted to believe her. Weeks passed, and the uneasiness grew. She became more secretive with her phone. I noticed she would tilt the screen away whenever a notification popped up. Once, I casually asked who she was texting, and she quickly said it was just a friend from class. I didn't push it, but something about the way she avoided eye contact made my stomach twist. I tried to ignore my doubts, but then came the night that changed everything. I was scrolling through Instagram late at night when I saw a picture of Emily at a bar. She hadn't told me she was going out. She looked stunning, dressed up more than usual, and sitting next to her was a guy I didn't recognize. His arm was around her chair, and she was leaning in close, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in a while. My chest tightened, but I convinced myself it was nothing. Maybe just a friend. Maybe just an innocent night out. But something inside me snapped. I needed to know the truth. The next day, I asked her about it casually, pretending I wasn't bothered. She told me it was just her co-workers, and the guy in the photo was a new hire. She laughed it off, saying I was overthinking. And once again, I let it go. But I couldn't stop myself from digging deeper. I created a fake account and followed that guy, whose name was Jason. He posted often gym selfies, pictures with friends, nights out, and then I saw it. A story of him and Emily sitting together at the same cafe where she worked, her head resting on his shoulder. My heart sank. I confronted her that night. She denied it, of course. Said it was just a joke, that Jason was like a brother. But I wasn't stupid anymore. I could see the cracks in her lies. Still, she hugged me tightly, whispered she loved me, and begged me to trust her, against my better judgment. I gave her another chance. But betrayal has a way of showing itself, no matter how much you try to hide it. One evening, Emily left her laptop open on the couch while she went to shower. I don't know what pushed me, but I couldn't resist. My hands were shaking as I opened her Messenger app. And there it was, a thread of messages with Jason. At first, it was harmless, memes, casual jokes. But then the words became intimate. Late-night confessions, heart emojis, plans to meet secretly. My throat tightened as I scrolled further. And then I saw it. I can't wait to see you again tonight, don't worry. You won't find out. That he was me. I felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. Every word was like a knife. I wanted to throw the laptop across the room, but instead, I just sat there, staring at the screen, unable to breathe. When Emily came out of the shower, I closed the laptop quietly and told her I had to leave. She kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong, and I forced a smile, my insides burning with anger. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed every moment of our relationship. Every time she told me she loved me, every time I believed her. The betrayal cut deeper because I had given her my trust so completely. She didn't just cheat on me, she made a fool out of me. I knew I couldn't just let it go. I wasn't the kind of guy who screamed or threw things, but I also wasn't the kind who could walk away quietly. No, if Emily wanted to betray me digitally, I would use the same digital world to show her truth. I started collecting evidence. Screenshots of her messages, photos from Jason's profile, everything I could find. I created a hidden folder on my computer and stored it all. With every piece of proof, my anger grew, but so did my determination. I wasn't going to let her play me anymore. The plan wasn't clear yet. But one thing I knew for sure, Emily's betrayal wasn't going to stay. The days after discovering the truth were the hardest of my life. Every time my phone buzzed with a text from Emily, I felt sick. She would send me sweet messages like, "Good morning, love," or "I miss you," and all I could see behind those words was a betrayal hiding in her heart. I wanted to scream at her, throw everything in her face, but something inside me told me to wait. If I exploded too early, she would just deny it again, twist the story, and make me look crazy. I needed to be smart, so I kept playing the role of the loving boyfriend, while behind the scenes, I became something else. A detective, a hacker, a man who refused to be broken. I began with the screenshots from her laptop. The messages were already damning enough, but I wanted more. I knew Emily used the same password for most of her accounts. It was her dog's name followed by her birth year. Pathetic, really. One night, when she was asleep on the couch at my place, I quietly picked up her phone and tested the password on her email. It worked. Suddenly, her entire digital world was open to me. I didn't want to violate her privacy, but then again, she had already violated something much more sacred, my trust. I scrolled through her emails and found receipts for dinners I never went to, Uber rides to places she never mentioned, and even hotel bookings under her name with Jason's initials in the notes. Each discovery felt like another stab in my chest, but at the same time, it fueled the fire inside me. The more I uncovered, the clearer my plan became. If Emily wanted to live a double life, I was going to rip away the mask in front of everyone she cared about. But revenge, I told myself, wasn't just about hurting her. It was about reclaiming my dignity. I started saving everything. I built a timeline of her lies. Photos, receipts, emails, chat logs. It all went into one big folder on my laptop. I named the folder Truth. Every night, I opened it and stared at the files like a soldier preparing for battle. Meanwhile, Emily continued to play her role. She would kiss me, laugh with me, talk about our future like nothing was wrong. Sometimes, I wondered if she even felt guilty. Did she think I was that blind? Did she think I would never find out? The thought made my blood boil. The breaking point came one Friday night. Emily told me she was going out with the girls for a small dinner. Something about the way she said it felt rehearsed. I decided to test her. I told her I had a late study session and wouldn't be able to meet anyway. She seemed relieved, too relieved. That night, I tracked her location using the Find My iPhone app. She wasn't at a restaurant with her girlfriends. She was at a rooftop bar downtown with Jason. I watched her location to move on the map for hours, and each movement was like a knife twisting deeper. Finally, around midnight, her dot stopped at a hotel. My heart pounded as I stared at the screen. I didn't need to imagine what was happening inside. I didn't sleep at all that night. By morning, my plan was crystal clear. I wasn't going to confront her in private anymore. She had chosen to humiliate me behind closed doors, but I was going to expose her in the open. The next few days, I worked on building a presentation. It sounds crazy, but that's exactly what I did. I created a slideshow, pictures, screenshots, timestamps, everything in order. I didn't add commentary. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke for itself. But how to reveal it? That was the question. Then fate handed me the perfect opportunity. Emily's birthday was coming up, and she had planned a small party at her apartment with close friends and a few co-workers. She begged me to be there, said she couldn't imagine celebrating without me. The irony made me laugh. She wanted me to stand next to her while she played the role of the perfect girlfriend in front of everyone, while secretly sneaking around with Jason. I said yes. The night of the party, I arrived with a smile plastered on my face. Inside, I was burning, but outside, I looked calm. Emily hugged me tightly, kissed me on the cheek, and whispered, "I love you." I almost laughed in her face. The party was lively. Music, drinks, laughter, it all felt so fake to me. I scanned the room and, of course, Jason was there. He was standing in the corner with a drink, trying not to look at me, but his eyes betrayed him. I caught his glance, and for a second, the world went silent. He knew I knew. After the cake was cut and the candles were blown out, Emily asked me if I wanted to say a few words. My heart pounded. This was the moment. I smiled and nodded. Everyone gathered around as I connected my laptop to the TV screen. In her living room, I told them I had prepared a little birthday surprise. Emily's eyes lit up, probably expecting a sweet slideshow of our memories together. The first slide appeared. It was a screenshot of one of her messages to Jason. "Don't worry, he won't find out. I'll tell him I'm with my friends tonight." Gasps filled the room. Emily froze, her smile vanishing instantly. I clicked to the next slide. Photos of her with Jason at the cafe. Then hotel receipts. Then Uber rides. Then emails. With every click, her betrayal unfolded in front of everyone. The room went silent, except for the sound of my own voice breaking the silence as I said, "This is who Emily really is." Her face turned pale. Jason tried to step forward, muttering something, but I ignored him. All eyes were on her. Friends who had admired her, co-workers who respected her, they all watched as her perfect image shattered. Tears welled in her eyes. She whispered my name, begged me to stop, but I didn't. I showed everything. Every lie, every betrayal. By the end, the truth was undeniable. Emily broke down in front of everyone, covering her face with her hands. The party was over. People began leaving in awkward silence, whispering among themselves. Jason slipped out without saying a word. I closed my laptop and stood there, feeling a strange mix of pain and satisfaction. My heart was shattered, but my dignity was intact. I had taken back control. As I walked out of the apartment, Emily tried to grab my arm, crying, begging me to listen, but I shook her hand off. For once, I didn't feel weak. For once, I wasn't a fool. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in months. But the story wasn't over. Because revenge doesn't always end when the truth comes out. Sometimes betrayal lingers. Sometimes the scars stay forever. And sometimes the one who betrays you isn't ready to let go. After the night of the party, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Friends were calling, some out of shock, some out of sympathy, and some just out of curiosity. I didn't answer any of them. I didn't want to relive the scene again and again. I wanted silence. I wanted to feel the weight lift off my chest. For a moment, I actually thought I was free. But betrayal doesn't just disappear the moment you expose it. It lingers like a shadow, crawling behind you no matter how fast you try to walk away. Emily tried calling me the entire night after the party. She sent dozens of texts, long paragraphs about how sorry she was, about how it meant nothing, about how she was confused and didn't want to lose me. I didn't reply to a single one. For 2 days, my phone was flooded with her desperate apologies. Then she showed up at my apartment. I opened the door and saw her standing there, her eyes red and swollen, makeup smudged. She looked broken, but I couldn't let myself feel pity. Not after what she had done. She tried to step inside, but I blocked the doorway. "Please, just listen to me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "There's nothing left to say," I replied coldly. She shook her head. "You don't understand. Jason was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I was stressed. I was lonely. Stop." My voice was sharper than I expected. "Don't insult me with excuses." Tears streamed down her face. "I love you, I really do. Please don't leave me." It was strange. Once, hearing those words would have melted me, but now they sounded hollow, empty, like echoes bouncing off walls where love used to live. I closed the door on her. Her sobs echoed in the hallway, but I didn't open it again. The next weeks were harder than I thought they would be. You'd think exposing her would make me feel strong, but instead, I felt exhausted. Betrayal has a way of eating at you from the inside. Even after you cut ties, the poison remains. I stopped trusting easily. I stopped smiling the way I used to. My friend tried to pull me out, but I needed time. Meanwhile, rumors spread fast. On campus, people whispered when Emily walked by. Her co-workers found out too. Jason? He disappeared. Word was he transferred to another state after things got too uncomfortable for him. Emily was left to face the humiliation alone, but somehow that didn't make me feel better. One night, a mutual friend told me Emily had dropped out of school temporarily. She wasn't showing up to classes, and she had quit her cafe job. For a while, I felt guilty. Maybe I had destroyed her completely. Maybe my revenge went too far. But then I remembered those nights she was with him while texting me, "I miss you." And suddenly, the guilt faded. She had destroyed herself long before I exposed her. I had just shown the truth. Months passed. Slowly, I started healing. I threw myself into my studies, into workouts, into anything that kept my mind busy. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped wondering what she was doing. Life was moving on, until one evening, I found an envelope slipped under my door. It was a letter from Emily. Her handwriting was shaky, but I recognized it instantly. The letter was long, almost 5 pages, pouring out everything she hadn't said face to face. She wrote about how she hated herself for what she did, how Jason never meant anything, how she sabotaged the only real love she ever had. She begged for forgiveness, not necessarily for a second chance, but just so she could breathe again. At the end, she wrote something that stuck with me. "I know I don't deserve you, but I'll spend the rest of my life regretting the day I betrayed you." I sat there for hours with the letter in my hands. A part of me felt the weight of her pain. Another part of me remembered my own sleepless nights, the anger, the humiliation. Forgiveness wasn't impossible, but forgetting was. And without forgetting, love couldn't survive. I never wrote back. Time kept moving. Graduation came. I walked across the stage, my family cheering, and for the first time in a long while, I felt proud of myself again, not because of the revenge, but because I survived it. I didn't let betrayal break me completely. After the ceremony, I noticed someone in the crowd. Emily. She was standing at the back, watching quietly, not daring to come close. Our eyes met for a split second. There was no anger in me anymore, just a strange calm. She gave me a small, sad smile before disappearing into the crowd. That was the last time I saw her. Years later, when I think back on everything, I realize that digital betrayal wasn't just about Emily cheating on me. It was about me learning the hard truth that trust, once broken, can never be the same again. It was about discovering the strength I didn't know I had, the ability to stand up for myself, and the courage to walk away even when my heart wanted to stay. Do I hate her? No. Hate is heavy, and I've carried enough weight already. Do I forgive her? Maybe. Not for her, but for myself. Because forgiveness isn't about giving someone a second chance. It's about giving yourself peace. And that's what I finally have. The scars remain, but so does the lesson. Sometimes love isn't destroyed by distance or time. Sometimes it's destroyed by betrayal. And when it is, the only way forward is to let go.